My name is Margaret, and what I am about to share with you is something I never imagined I would experience in my lifetime. For 64 years, I lived my life thinking I understood God, thinking I understood faith, thinking I understood what it meant to be alive. But in the summer of 2019, my entire world changed forever. I died. Not symbolically. Not spiritually. I physically died. My heart stopped for 12 minutes. And in those 12 minutes, Jesus Christ revealed the truth about my entire life. The truth I didn't want to see. The truth I ignored. And the truth God had been trying to reach me with for decades. Today, I stand here alive, breathing, and fully restored. Not because of doctors. Not because of luck. But because Jesus had something to show me. My story is not fiction. It is not a dream. It is not imagination. It is my testimony, given to me so that you may find clarity, comfort, and hope in the God who never, ever gives up on us. Before I begin, I want to ask you. Please share this testimony with someone who needs hope. Someone who feels their life is almost over. Someone who thinks God has forgotten them. He has not. And now, let me take you back to the day everything changed. What happened next is something I have spent years trying to put into words, and even now I struggle, because no human language can fully express what it feels like when the veil between life and eternity is suddenly torn open before your eyes, but I will try, for your sake and for the sake of everyone who needs to hear this testimony. When my heart stopped and my breath left my body, I felt a strange sensation, not pain, not fear, not confusion, but a release, almost like the loosening of a tight knot that I had carried in my chest for decades. I felt myself drifting upward, slowly at first, then with a gentle but irresistible pull, like someone guiding me by the hand. I remember seeing my own body below me, slumped and motionless on that porch chair, and in that moment I felt no sadness, no panic, only a deep awareness that the suffering of the physical world could no longer touch me. The air around me became brighter, not the brightness of sunlight or electricity, but a living brightness, like the light itself was breathing. I felt warmth, not like heat from a flame, but like the warmth of love, love so pure and so consuming that it washed through me and filled every part of me that had ever felt empty, lonely, ignored, or abandoned. It was then that I sensed a presence approaching me, not with footsteps, not with sound, but with an undeniable spiritual weight that made my soul tremble, not with fear, but with recognition. And before I could think, before I could question, before I could even open my mouth to speak, I knew exactly who he was. Jesus. His presence filled everything around me, and yet it did not overwhelm me. Instead, it held me the way a mother holds a newborn child, secure and protected. When he appeared before me, not in the way paintings depict him, not in the stylized images we see in churches, but in a form that radiated glory so intensely I could not look directly at his face, my soul bowed in a way my earthly body never could. Jesus didn't speak at first. He simply looked at me with eyes that felt like they had known me since the beginning of time. In his gaze, I saw every moment of my life, not as memories I had forgotten, but as living truths that stood bare before him. I expected judgment, I expected harshness, I expected him to remind me of all the ways I failed, all the times I turned away, all the times I ignored his voice even when he whispered to my heart. But instead, what I felt from him was compassion. Compassion so profound that it made me understand instantly why the Bible describes him as love itself. Without using words, he invited me to follow him, and the moment I did, the space around us shifted. Suddenly, scenes from my life began to appear as though they were suspended in the air, yet I was standing inside them, reliving them with an awareness I had never had before. I saw my childhood, moments I had forgotten, moments where I felt small and unimportant, moments where I cried in silence because I didn't want to trouble my parents, moments where I prayed for things that never came to pass and wondered whether God heard me at all. Jesus stood beside me through each memory, and each time I glanced at him, I saw sorrow in his eyes, not sorrow for himself, but sorrow for how deeply I had carried certain pains without ever surrendering them to him. I saw my years as a young woman, working tirelessly, trying to be strong for everyone, trying to hold my family together even when I was quietly falling apart. I saw moments where I pretended to have faith, moments where I said the right religious words but had no genuine connection to them, moments where I let bitterness grow in my heart because of wounds I refused to confront. Jesus showed me the times he tried to reach me, through a person who offered kindness I didn't expect, through a sermon I brushed off, through a moment of stillness where I felt him tug at my heart but dismissed it as emotion, yet even then, there was not a trace of condemnation in him. Instead, he showed me with love how many times he had tried to rescue me long before the day my heart stopped. I saw the accident I survived in my 30s, the illness I recovered from in my 40s, the night I cried alone in my room when my husband died and I said, "Lord, why did you take him?" But Jesus showed me something I could not have seen while I was alive, that even in my darkest nights, he had been sitting right beside me, weeping when I wept, holding me when I felt like I was falling apart, even though I couldn't perceive him. I saw myself in moments where I made mistakes, said things I shouldn't have said, carried grudges I should have released, and believed lies about myself that he never wanted me to believe. Jesus didn't shame me for these moments. Instead, he placed his hand gently on my shoulder and said, not with his mouth, but with his spirit, "I never expected perfection from you, I only wanted your heart." And hearing that broke something inside me, not a painful breaking, but a breaking that released years of guilt, fear, and self-condemnation. Then Jesus showed me the people I had hurt unintentionally, people I hadn't even realized I affected. I saw how my silence had wounded someone who needed encouragement. I saw how my anger once frightened my daughter. I saw how my bitterness had affected my friendships. But for each image, Jesus didn't show me to punish me. He showed me so I would understand the weight of my life, not to crush me, but to free me. Then, in a moment that felt like eternity and yet like a single heartbeat, Jesus showed me a revelation I never expected. He showed me the people whose lives I had touched without knowing it, people I had encouraged, people who felt seen because of a simple smile I gave them, people who prayed because of something I once said in passing, people who were lifted because I had shown kindness even when I was hurting. Jesus showed me that my life had mattered in ways I never realized. He told me, again, not with words, but with a voice that resonated through my entire being, every act of love is recorded in heaven. And suddenly, I felt something I had not felt in many years, worth. Jesus then brought me to a place that looked nothing like earth, a realm of peace that felt alive. It was filled with colors I cannot describe, sounds that didn't come from instruments yet carried melodies more beautiful than anything human hands could create. And there, in the midst of that eternal light, Jesus revealed to me that my life was not ending. He showed me people, faces I recognized and faces I didn't. Some were people I had known on earth, some were strangers, some were people I had briefly crossed paths with without realizing they would one day be part of my purpose. Jesus said, "There are many who believe they are forgotten. Many who believe their lives hold no more meaning. Many who think their age disqualifies them from my purpose. You must tell them that I am not finished with them." I felt a surge of emotion so strong that I fell to my knees, not because of fear, but because of the overwhelming love and responsibility he placed on me. He showed me elderly men and women sitting alone in their homes, feeling abandoned, feeling unseen, feeling like the world has moved on without them. He showed me widows crying in silence, grandparents who felt useless, seniors who had lost their sense of purpose, older believers who had begun to doubt whether God still cared about their prayers. Then he said, "Their prayers are precious to me. Their lives are precious to me. And I have not forgotten them." And with those words, I felt Jesus extend something toward me, not a physical object, but a calling, a mission, a divine assignment. I knew in that instant that he was sending me back. But before he did, he touched my heart, literally and spiritually, and when he did, I felt life surge through me in a way that was beyond anything earthly. Then everything went dark, not painful darkness, but a gentle closing of a spiritual door. The next moment I was pulled downward, rapidly, like falling from a great height, and then, suddenly, my chest expanded with a violent gasp. I opened my eyes and saw paramedics hovering over me. One of them said, "We have a pulse." Another whispered, 12 minutes, she's been out for 12 minutes. They couldn't believe it. The doctor later told me the human brain can't survive that long without oxygen, but somehow mine did. When I heard that, I didn't need explanations. Jesus had already given me the answer. I came back not just alive, but transformed. And from that day on, everything changed. The way I prayed, the way I saw people, the way I forgave, the way I loved, the way I lived. I knew my purpose now. To tell as many people as possible, especially the elderly, that Jesus has not forgotten them, that heaven is real, that their lives still matter, and that God still has a plan for them, no matter their age, their past, or their regrets.